I think what's exciting about this particular recovery grant is that this technology, which is being developed in partnership with a company here in Albuquerque, is going to allow us to grow those green jobs even faster. It allows the energy to be stored from a wind farm or a solar farm and used when the utility needs it the most. That cuts down dramatically on pollution, but it also increases the speed that you can deploy renewables, the number of jobs you can create, and this is something that we've been needing for a long time to make ourselves more energy independent.
And in Torrance, tell us practically how it created jobs and benefited the local economy there.
Well, if you look at how we can really utilize these big wind farms, and you take the example of that wind farm that was just created in southern Torrance County, usually the demand for that is someplace far away, in an urban center like Albuquerque or even in California, and you need to be able to store that energy when it's blowing, the wind's blowing in the middle of the night, and use it when your air conditioner kicks on in the middle of the day. That's why this kind of energy storage technology is so critical to the future smart grid.
And then, Thursday you were made aware of Workforce Solutions' new report, 8.3% unemployment, thousands of jobs lost. How does ARA funds benefit people that have been laid off in the last year? And is it coming to the economy quick enough to help people?
Well, I think you want it spread out over a couple of years to have its full impact. Is it enough? Is it fast enough? I mean, I'd love for it to be having a more immediate impact. At the same time, I think if we didn't have those Recovery Act funds, funding $30 million of construction at Kirtland Air Force Base, going into our roads around New Mexico, we might have seen 16-18% unemployment in 2010, 2011. It has really helped arrest the huge decline in the economy, and so now we're seeing, just last quarter, the economy actually grew by between 5 and 6%. You need a few quarters of that kind of growth before we start adding the jobs back on, and that's when you really know you're coming out of the recession, is when the growth starts showing up in positive job creation numbers.
And when you travel around the community in your district, what are you hearing? What are the people's opinions on jobs? That's silly. When you travel around the community, what is the public sentiment about jobs and unemployment? Are they worried, nervous? Are they optimistic?
I think people are optimistic, but still very concerned about the rate of unemployment. Anybody who's still unemployed today, it's not a statistic for them. It's a difference between whether or not their family can plan or send their kids to college, or even just put food on the table at the end of the night. So it is the number one issue that I hear about, and I think we need to do some of the things that we heard about in the State of the Union address to put those dollars to work in small businesses in New Mexico, really increase the lending to small businesses because they have the most capacity to add jobs.
And so you earlier met today with folks about charter bank folding, and then, I imagine, what did you hear there?
There's a concern that community banks are frankly much more regulated than the Wall Street banks, and it's easy to go after and put strict requirements on the community banks. It's hard to do that with the Wall Street banks, and so sometimes I think they have a tendency to be overpressured and overregulated, and the Wall Street banks are frankly underregulated, and that's a problem because those community banks are the ones lending to the 5-person business in the South Valley or up in the Northeast Heights. They're really critical for our job growth, and so I want to find a way to equalize that, level that playing field between the big Wall Street banks and give the local banks a leg up because they didn't create this problem and they're doing great things in our community.
As a matter of fact, Brian Egolf, a state representative from Santa Fe, has suggested and proposed a bill to move money out of Bank of America, put it into local banks with the idea that the local bank is familiar with the business owner and is willing to give them money that then can create a job or homeowners can get a mortgage on a house.
I think putting things in place that give preference to those local banks that treat community banks as the assets that they are, those are very positive steps. So I'd be open to those kinds of ideas.
All right.